Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Detroit Lions in tonight's video. I have not done this channel in way too long. I really do apologize. We are going to be changing that. Isn't tomorrow night? We're like 24 hours away from Detroit Lions football technically. But I was seeing something that really was honestly just awfully fascinating, and I kind of wanted to riff off of that and a few things just because I could talk Detroit Lions football every single day. So let's make that a thing, right? I'm just going to make that a thing most days. But it was in NFL Power Rankings. It was like Fox Sports. It was something like big or baller type. You know, it wasn't whatever I'm trying to say. It doesn't even matter. They had the Detroit Lions at 9. I found that awfully fascinating. I really should have maybe clicked on it and seen if they tried to give any rationality for that. The oddest thing occurred this offseason, and it's just become cool again, I guess, to hate the Detroit Lions, which it just genuinely makes no sense to me. And here's the thing, I can get it. Maybe the center retired, the right guard's on a different team. I get it a little bit. I get maybe some hesitation saying, okay, well, Detroit's going to win the NFC. They're going to take down the Philadelphia Eagles, who just came off their Super Bowl, the best team in the National Football League, until someone takes them down. Maybe Detroit's 2. If you want to get a little bit cute, if you want to get a little bit hot, maybe Detroit's the 3rd best team in the NFC. I don't really know off the top of my head what team that would be. I think if anyone's thrown Washington at 2, they're crazy. I do not trust that Washington defensive line in any way, shape, or form. But my point is, it's become like a trend to hate the Detroit Lions. And it has nothing to do with anything about the roster. It's just all regarding the loss of the 2 coordinators. And I've said it on the main channel, Will Upton, maybe one too many times, but I love watching film, and you go back and you watch that Lions-Commanders game, and it like, even as a Packers fan, it pisses me off because it's like, why is Jameson Williams throwing a football for the first time that season? Why is Ben Johnson getting so cute? Why is that occurring? They did not play the brand of football they played for 17 straight regular season appearances. So that irked me, all right? Aaron Glenn, I think the dude is really cool. But that's like the thing. They lost both of their coordinators. You go back to the Philadelphia Eagles a few seasons ago, they lost both of their coordinators, and you saw a huge regression. And it's like, actually off the top of my head, I think they started that season like 8-0 or 9-1 or something like that. And then I think they lost to, I think it was Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home in the wild card round of the playoffs. But then you never hear, like, even keeping with Baker Mayfield in Tampa, like, because I live here in Tampa now. I got a Bucs channel. I like the Buccaneers. My whole family, my grandparents have been in South Florida for many years now. I guess Tampa's not South Florida, but I'm still calling it South Florida. I got a bunch of family that lives down here. A lot of people on my dad's side, and that's why I make Lions videos, because most people on my dad's side of the family are born and raised in Detroit. My grandpa's born and raised in the city of Detroit. I've been there numerous times. I've been to Ford Field. I've got bobbleheads. I've got jerseys. I've got a Roy Williams jersey, whatever. But using Tampa even as an example here, like, I remember when they lost Brady, they bring in Baker Mayfield. They bring in Dave Canales, who had never called plays in ever at the NFL level. And Baker Mayfield has a phenomenal season. And Dave Canales ends up leaving, and he becomes the head coach for the Carolina Panthers. So they bring in Liam Cohen. People have concerns with that. Like, what's his resume? Is this really the right move? Baker Mayfield has a career season. And I guess Tampa isn't really a rival, but they're a rival as far as NFC goes. Baker Mayfield, with their new offensive coordinator, Josh, he's still going to be a good quarterback. He's still a good QB. So everyone likes to harp on the negative sides, like, well, Philly lost their coordinators and Detroit lost their coordinators, so expect some regression. I mean, it's kind of hard to win 14, 15 games in general, so maybe you'll see some record regression in the sense of it's hard to win that many football games consistently every single season. But you look at this lineup, and it's like, the way I see it is this. At the end of the day, the Detroit Lions have a good offensive line. The answer is yes. Do the Detroit Lions have a good defensive line? Yes. Even with the injury to Aleem McNeil, who I keep seeing good news, he's a little ahead of schedule, but like, I guess Malcolm Rodriguez, Aleem McNeil were looking middle of the season implementations. You drafted Talik Williams. You picked up Roy Lopez, who in general, in my opinion, was one of the most undervalued, undernoticed moves in the entire offseason. DJ Reader, obviously Aiden Hutchinson is coming back healthy. Marcus Davenport's coming back healthy. It's a really, really good linebacker room, and I feel like the NFL has kind of caught back onto that. With a healthy Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell's well on his way to stardom at linebacker. You got Derek Barnes, get a little bit deeper when Malcolm Rodriguez comes back. And then we get to the defensive back room, and it's like, there were a lot of really good moves that people don't talk about. So I'm sorry if this video is becoming a little bit redundant, but when I hear people talk about Detroit, it's coordinator related. I haven't seen really anybody talk about DJ Reed. Now, I'm sure Detroit sports media is talking about DJ Reed. I'm sure you guys are talking about Avonte Maddox. But I don't see that on ESPN. I don't see that on FS1. I don't see that on these power ranking articles. And it's like, all right, Brian Branch is kind of like Jack Campbell on his way to stardom. Might already even be there, right? Kirby Joseph, ball hawking stud safety, right? Terrion Arnold had a nice, intriguing rookie season. First-round draft pick. Amik Robertson is a very good cornerback. All right, even back to his Las Vegas days, he's a very consistent, reliable cornerback, and he's there in your nickel. And then we look at the two new additions that we just mentioned. DJ Reed has been one of the most reliable cornerbacks, eye-wise and stat-wise, in the NFL for the last, I would say, 3, maybe 4 seasons. When you have, honestly, the whole defense in general, the same thing kind of applies for offense, but, right, you have an edge rusher. All right, let's look at his sack number. If that number isn't, over 10, he's bad, right? Even if it's, a defensive tackle, even if you're talking about a guy like DJ Reader, right? DJ Reader didn't have 100 tackles last season and 10 sacks, so he's not a good defensive player. It's like, okay, that's not how that works. So when we look at cornerbacks, people are like, oh, 1 interception, 2 interceptions, no interceptions. He's a bad defensive back. And it's like, DJ Reed has consistently been rated as one of the better coverage cornerbacks in the National Football League for, like I said, 3 or 4 seasons. Avonte Maddox is even more interesting because he just had a really nice supplemental complementary role player role for the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl team last season. And he was also on his way making a name for himself, and then he got hit with a suspension, 2 years ago. So I look at this defensive back room, and I'm like, they're not going to deal, the whole defense isn't going to deal with the injuries you dealt with last season. That's law averages, that's how it works. If it happened again, I don't even want to mention it. But my point is, Detroit's loaded. This team's loaded. Why would they be the 9th best team in the NFL? I do not understand it. Folks, that's it for tonight's rant. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. And like I said, this channel is back, baby. Appreciate you guys sticking with it, and we'll see you soon. Peace.